Welcome back to the No Fly Zone podcast. This is episode 3 of our journey. If you're still listening with us, we're so glad you're here. We didn't know we'd be here. I'm joined by my co-host KC, and we just had a fun summer weekend.
Hell yeah, we did. So fun. So much partying.
I know that you're partying, KC out here in the Iowa-Illinois border. It was pretty warm. It was fun.
Yeah, it was like 103 here today. It was fucking nuts.
So I know that we're doing something a little different. You did the outline today, and I am going to be a first-time listener to the story you're going to give us.
Oh, yeah. I've got some real fucking clown shoes for you today. This is absolute absurdity, and that's why it's my favorite internet conspiracy. As soon as I knew I was taking the helm this week,
Oh, you have a favorite.
This is my favorite. Oh, my God. You know, it's absurd to me how many people don't realize the truth about this. There's a lot of people in North America who still believe that birds are real. And I'm here to tell you that, in fact, you're wrong. And this movement,
birds aren't real?
Birds aren't real. And that is the title of our episode today. I hope some of you bird truthers out there are listening and you understand where I'm coming from with this. Because birds, they're not real. They haven't been real in decades.
And you had a bold statement off air stating that you think that this is a bigger following than the Church of Flying Spaghetti Monster.
I did say that. I'm probably going to get attacked, which is great because I'm always down to fight somebody. Preferably in person.
What do you say about controversy?
Oh, I have an insubordination complex. End quote. It's weird that I've heard that from multiple supervisors in my life, but whatever.
Okay, so I'm kind of new to this, other than seeing one random TikTok about a fake neighborhood with fake birds. What is this fake bird stuff?
Okay, so there's a movement that started in 2017, or it was brought to light in 2017. Depends on what you believe. Called Birds Aren't Real. Okay, and this actually started. I'll hit on a little more details about the founder of this, but essentially there was a rally going on, and this kid in Memphis is like. I think it'd be funny if someone jumped down there with a sign with something absurd on it, and he just ripped off cardboard off a wall and wrote "Birds aren't real" on it, and started marching with the protesters saying, "Birds aren't real! Wake up, America! See the truth!" And it started this viral movement, which we're going to get into here. And some people believe this, by the way.
I mean, do they have proof to believe this, or we're going to find out?
We're about to find out. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is jump into some of the mission statement type quotes from the birdsaren'treal.com website.
So these are the experts. This is from the source.
Oh, yeah, straight from the source, okay? Most of the things that I ended up coming up with for this, the website was a goldmine of information. So most of this is excerpts from there. There is a lot more. The full history is on that website, which I read word for word, so you don't have to. But if you want some grade A entertainment, I strongly recommend it. So I'm going to jump into their mission statements here. A little bit overview of some of the history and beliefs of the actual movement, and then go back, talk a little bit more about the founder of this thing. So the website, one of the first questions right on there says, "Who are we?" Right? Who are we? What's this website? And
That's
it says,
my first question.
The Birds Aren't Real movement has been active since 1976. Once a preventative cause, our initial goal was to stop the genocide of real birds. Unfortunately, this was unsuccessful, and the government has since replaced every living bird with robotic replicas. Now our movement's prerogative is to make everyone aware of this fact.
Every living bird.
Every living bird.
That's quite the statement.
Uh-huh. And then it says, what are we trying to do? It's the next question.
So what about your aunt's cockatoo? I mean,
oh my God,
is that a government agent?
It's like an Alexa. You're putting
in your home
a camera in your home. Why would you do that? It's fucking insane, right?
Okay, cool.
Yeah, get rid of that cockatoo. God, what are we trying to do? The Birds Aren't Real movement exists to spread awareness that the U.S. government genocided over 12 billion birds from 1959 to 2001, and replaced these birds with surveillance drone replicas, which still watch us every single day. Once a preventative cause, our initial goal was to stop the forced extinction of real birds. Unfortunately, this was unsuccessful, and the government has since replaced every living bird with robotic replicas.
So, I mean, I think this movement would gain more traction with some photo evidence or some proof.
What's that? Sounds fake.
Yeah.
What does birds aren't real mean? The term birds aren't real refers to biological birds no longer existing on United States soil. After the government forcibly made the entire species extinct in the 20th century, all of these real birds were replaced with surveillance drones designed to look just like birds. To simplify, birds no longer exist in the US as a biological life form, thus, birds aren't real. And yes, there is repetition in some of these statements, in case you hadn't caught that.
Yeah, I can hear that. They're very stout in their belief that every bird is dead and replaced.
It gets better.
Okay.
Alrighty, so are you curious about when the birds were replaced? Because that's what's up here.
That was my second question.
So, I did cherry pick excerpts from, again, I don't have time to sit here and read all that to you.
Off their pages of nonsense.
I mean, nonsense.
I shouldn't
It's
say that. We should let our
sacred texts, okay? So, it is believed that the initial plan for killing all the birds and replacing them with flying cameras was brought up one weekend in May of 1956. So this guy named Dulles, who was like a CIA director, and his team, they hated birds with a passion. And they were heard on many occasions calling them, quote, flying slugs and the scum of the skies, as they would often poop on their cars in the parking lot of the CIA headquarters, and quite frankly, all over the DC metro area. The writer of this says, I believe that this was one of the driving forces that led Dulles to not only implement robots into the sky, but actually replace birds in the process. They did not need to kill all the birds, and could have launched a quarter of the robot birds if they did, but the pigeons in DC at the time were absolutely ruthless. They were eating very well, as American morale was high. People were feeding them much more in public parks and on the streets. And this in turn created huge amounts of pigeon feces that would inevitably find its way to the windshield of many men and women, all of whom grew to not only hate pigeons, don't we all, but all birds. In a stolen transcript from an ex-CIA deputy, she says, yeah, the higher-ups were so annoyed that birds had been dropping fecal matter on their car windows that they vowed to wipe out every single flying feathered creature in North America. So it's believed that that plan was...
did you say, you said stolen, but like I like how there's a lack of names.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
they did say the CIA director, DeLull, or...
Yeah, this is in 56, though, so there's... I mean, I think he was a real guy, but I'm not sure. But they think that this whole plan came up in May 1956 because their cars were being shit on. Okay. So, in this meeting... Bird genocide. 12 billion birds, okay? In this meeting, they sought to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, get it? And remove all birds from the United States, thus eliminating their fecal problem, but also replacing these birds with billions of sophisticated robot lookalikes, capable of mimicking real birds in every way. So this guy and his team, they wanted to create the greatest surveillance system ever imagined, with the capability of tracking someone on foot, in a vehicle, or even in their personal home.
Okay.
Like Grandma Dolores Cockatoo, the government spy.
I mean, kind of don't need that with everybody checking in on Facebook, so...
I mean, true. Okay, and so listening to this, to start off, if you're unfamiliar with this conspiracy theory, you probably have some questions right off the bat, like some logical questions. And I'd like you to know that they do take painstaking time to answer those questions here in the history of the bird.
Say it ain't so.
No, they do. They're very thorough. So, for example, okay, so you want to kill all the birds and replace them with flying drones. Okay. So how are you going to kill all the birds, right? How are you going to do that to start with? All right, they've got an answer for that. Poison gas.
Oh.
Okay, so the U.S. government, basically the theory is that they sequestered a team of Boeing engineers in Area 51 for a secret military mission, a.k.a. bird murder gas.
Bird murder gas, is that what we call it?
And they made an operation name, Water the Country. So this is in 1959 now. They have dates to lend some credence to this. Water the Country, Operation Water the Country was born, and this was to be the secret code name given to the program from 59 to 76. And then in 76, it was renamed to Operation Very Large Bird.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The individual in charge of naming the program didn't want to get into any copyright trouble with a popular PBS show, Sesame Street, by naming the operation Big Bird.
So if this is top secret, they'll never even know. So there is no copyright.
Within 6 years, 15% of the bird population was wiped out, and during these first few years, bird prototypes were released by the 100 million. The term drone was not used at this time, and instead they were referred to as robot birds.
RBs.
So I did glaze over that quite a bit, But again, on the website, they go into painstaking detail about all the drama involved and the science behind the giant water tanks that were equipped to these B-52s and the way that they were, oh, they're
Dispersing this
watering
gas.
farmland, but it's actually secret poisonous gas, which only affects birds. And one
Okay.
single drop can like permeate the feathers and get into the bloodstream, and then the birds can spread it to any other bird they're in contact with. And this goes deep, man. Like it's all right there. I'm just not going to bore you with the details. It's just funny how committed
Wow.
they were. Again,
And
gold stars for commitment.
they, like, you're talking about a movement, a group of people, or just like one person spreading this, or both?
I think it's the movement, the Bird Brigade, as they call themselves.
The Bird Brigade.
But one guy really committed to this hard and kind of got it rolling. And we'll get to him later. But there's more conspiracy theories here because every conspiracy theory that exists pretty much exists to support birds aren't real, to include the CIA assassinating John F. Kennedy after he refused to kill and replace billions of birds, and he found out about this.
I know there's some conspiracies out there that the CIA was in on the assassination.
Mm-hmm.
If they were, I doubt it had to do with this, but
I mean, I love that we live in a generation so cripplingly distrustful of the American government that no matter how absurd the theory is that comes along, instead of immediately dismissing it, everyone sits there and goes, but maybe? Like, we
in
give
the
it some
realm of
serious thought.
possibility. In the realm of possibility, yeah.
Nothing is too crazy anymore for people to, like, seriously consider. That's how
So
little
so
faith we
is
have.
that's just a theory that they have, or do they have anything to back that up?
At no point do I have anything to back any of this up. Let me just
Oh, okay.
lay
Just
that
checking.
out there, other than their statements, which is pretty well done. I did quote part of this website because it was a really fucking funny section. It claims that Kennedy was assassinated less than a month after finding out about this, right? So from the website, they say, by now, you must be shaking with fear. The thought of your government doing these things is too much for you to handle. Can it really be true? Could the government have killed billions of birds and replaced them with robots? Yes, they did, but don't feel alone. At any point during the reading of this book, you are free to email our counseling department, customer support at warrenjames.org. We will walk you through the steps to mentally overcome this nightmare.
Oh boy.
So if this really shakes you to your core and undermines all of your beliefs and moral suppositions up until this point in your life, you have an email address. Again, that is customer support at warrenjames.org.
The way that they worded that reminds me of like the first Matrix, where Neo's outside the skyrise and he was on the cell phone with Morpheus and had no clue what was going on.
Do you do drugs? Because I brought two, a red pill and a blue pill.
There you go.
So not only was that, go ahead.
No, I'm just like, to me that's insanity. And then they're also putting, not even, well, customer support. So wait. So you have to be a customer, so they expect you to buy something from them, or that?
Well, this was
Like,
actually all free on the website.
why isn't therapy at warrenjames.org?
I truly have no idea. I just love that they threw that in there. It should be Crisis, you're right. Crisis at warrenjames.org. Who the fuck is Warren James?
Like, it says customer, so that leads me to believe that there's something for sale, or you need your money, back on something.
They actually do have some really cool t-shirts and sweaters and hats, which I really would have loved to have one for this episode, but...
The Bird Brigade.
Oh my god, no, it just says... Well, there's a couple. It says birds aren't real. One, it says, like, bird watchers. You watch them, they watch you.
Okay,
there's some great shit on there, man. So I do plan to make an order from that website here eventually. And I've meant to for like 2 years and still haven't, which is wild.
Which is funny because this is my first time really hearing about it. I mean, like I said, other than that one TikTok I saw that kind of was alluding to the birds being fake.
You see how fast I jumped on this one? I'm like, birds aren't real.
Oh, yeah.
People ask me like all the time, they're like, do you believe in anything? Like, because I'm a fucking atheist. I don't believe in shit. And I'm like, birds aren't real. And they're like looking at me like trying to figure out if I'm joking.
They don't know if you're just intense, smoldering sarcasm is at play.
Nobody ever knows if I'm joking. It's fucking great. Like, I just commit to something. It's like, that's why I love this so much, because this is like something I would do, okay? This guy, like, accidentally starting a cult. Yes. Like, this is some shit that I would absolutely... Like,
it was on purpose than accidental.
Yeah, I would sell a joke way too hard and end up in a cult. Like, it would just happen to me. That is my MO right there. So... because that wasn't enough conspiracy involved in this. The war in Vietnam was obviously a cover as well. That's part of their
That's a
history.
bombshell, according to who?
According to the Birds Aren't Real history page. It's so great.
Okay.
So we got a secret meeting held July 2nd, 1964 in the Jefferson Building in D.C., according to the website, where the CIA discussed the need for a heavy amount of bauxite, which is an anamorphous clayey rock that is the chief commercial ore of aluminum. This bauxite was essential to the process of
Is
robot
that a
construction.
real? Is that a real mineral?
Can you? I'm an idiot. Can you just Google that real quick?
Bauxite.
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 Yeah. So play some elevator music while we look that up. Do 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 do. Is that real?
It's real.
Holy shit. That's how dumb I am. I would have said that was fake all the way. So that's a real thing.
It's used to create aluminum metal.
Yep. Aluminum is supposedly making up every core component of the structure of these robots, so they need this bauxite, and they're running out of it. So almost a month after this secret meeting, a North Vietnamese torpedo boat was accused of attacking a U.S. destroyer in the Gulf of Tonkin. It is widely believed that this incident was faked, and this author concurs, and that the incident was just an excuse for the United States to place a huge number of troops in Vietnam and engage with the North Vietnamese on a much more escalated platform. The reason? The nation of Vietnam contains a third...
I like how all their huge historical things they piggyback off another major historical event like the Gulf of Tonkin incident, the Kennedy assassination. You know, like they try to piggyback off something huge.
But it's funny because all of those things are actually conspiracies. Like there's a lot of people who think the whole Gulf of Tonkin thing was staged or faked.
So they're doing the Inception, dream within a dream, conspiracy within conspiracy. Like, yeah.
So it's already preying on people's doubts, and it's like gap filling some things for people who might already be on that fence a little about whether they believe this crazy shit. And they're like, oh my God, that makes total sense. It's like confirmation bias. Like you want to see it, so there it is.
Or you want to believe anything but what the narrative is.
Right. Which, again, that's what I appreciate about our generation. Is that they really, really, really don't believe shit.
Or the amazing, for the most part, unrecognized soldiers of Reddit.
Oh my God. It's funny you bring that up. I'll remind me of that later. The nation of Vietnam, again, is supposed to contain the third largest reserve of bauxite ore on the entire planet, ore rich in the primary component of aluminum, used to create the robots. The U.S. already used the brewing conflict there to their advantage, and from 64 to 75, the U.S. attempted to invade and extract as much of this ore as possible, because without it, there would be no robot birds.
Oh my gosh.
Commentary.
Okay, so what does it say? Does they say why the war in Vietnam ended, or they were just out of material?
Oh, they didn't have any more ore to extract, obviously.
Oh, so then magically it's over.
Right. So those are some of the primary tenets of this. I won't even call it a religion, but a deep-seated belief in fuck the government, I guess, which again, I can totally get behind as someone who works for the government. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I once had IDs of property of the U.S. government.
I will say it is really fun listening. I'm jumping ahead a tiny bit, but it's really fun listening to this guy when he's interviewed. And I'll get into some of his interviews later. But every tiny little thing, every little noise that happens or technical glitch, he's like, yeah, it's the government. Yeah, they're sabotaging me right now. So yeah, they're listening to me.
What is this guy's name again, or did you mention it earlier and I
have not mentioned it yet. His name is Peter McIndoe. And again, I'll get into him later. What a fucking genius, man. I hats metaphorically off to this motherfucker. There's some miscellaneous things they didn't touch on in history, but he's mentioned in interviews or other places on the website. Like, for example, the bird poop. Okay. Bird poop.
Okay.
Have you ever noticed?
Wasn't that the reason they started this bird genocide, was bird poop?
Oh, yeah, but it gets deeper. Now, why do birds poop on your car now, right? Well, look down the street. Right? They could poop anywhere else. There's no poop anywhere else except on your car because the poop is a government tracking device.
Oh, so they're tracking your car.
They are tracking your car. They want to follow you and know where you're going and what you're doing, so they're pooping on your car. Quotes, heavy quotes. It's just another way to track you.
Wow.
Why do birds always sit or sleep on the power lines?
Do tell.
Oh, they're recharging.
Oh, those are bird charging stations.
Yes, they're charging. They're drawing power from the power lines to recharge. They can't go forever, man. They're robots. They're not birds. Come on, be
So
realistic.
that's what my tax-paying dollars are going towards.
Oh, this one's fun. This is the thing that Kennedy supposedly discovered before he was assassinated, which is that our tax dollars were funneled into building the Turkey X-500, which was a bird robot used to hunt large birds during the time birds were being exterminated,
Oh boy.
like eagles, falcons, larger
Well,
birds.
weren't they just either crazy bird gas or whatever that was?
You would think that as well. I too would
Because
think
was it
that.
one drop would, or one
Yeah.
powerful?
Little bit of a loophole. We don't like that here. Moving on. What if these bigger birds just aren't getting gassed right and they need to be like, I don't know, hunted down with a Turkey X-500? So,
Oh boy.
speaking of turkey, people have asked, and I think I heard this in one of his interviews. Okay, well, what about on Thanksgiving? Okay, what are you eating? What's on the table?
That's a great question.
What do you think it is?
Inquiring minds want to know.
It's synthetic meat.
Oh, like a plant-based burger.
Yeah, Brett, you should have known this. It's similar to the shit they serve at McDonald's or Taco Bell, which is all synthetic meat as well. Very little actual
Oh,
meat. So you're eating a synthetic fake bird, is what you're eating.
oh
Supposedly.
no. And what does he have to back this up?
Why are you asking questions like that? It's not relevant.
Just inquiring minds want to know.
All right, here's my personal favorite one. Okay, so we figured out how they killed off all the birds, okay? The gas, how they distributed it, all of that shit, where they got the bauxite. Now the big question is, who built the robot birds, right? Because surely, if you had factories with thousands of millions of workers building thousands of millions and billions,
Somebody would say something.
someone would whistleblow, right?
You'd think.
You'd think. So here was what happened. In the 60s and 70s, acid was everyone's drug of choice, right? So CIA agents were sent out to nightclubs, bars, strip clubs, places like that, to look for people who were tripping on acid and to look for people who, quote, looked capable of building a robot bird
On acid.
on acid. So they were then to offer these people, hey, you want to have the best acid trip of your life? Come with me. So they would give people the tools and the overalls and acid and send them down to build birds in this factory and then drive them back. And then later
Just
on,
that simple. Joe Blow
yeah.
building a bird.
apparently, yes. And then this guy would just describe the wildest trip of his life. Like he just thought he had a crazy trip about building robot birds in a government base.
Oh boy.
That's the current working theory, okay?
I
Now,
don't like it. I don't like it.
a lot of this is like, okay, this is a North America thing, right? Like all the birds in North America have been killed off. So how do we keep
That's
the
what
birds
you've
from
been telling
going to other countries? Well, they're
Migrating.
programmed not to go to other countries. And he did mention in one of his interviews that he had a theory about why birds flew south, but I didn't hear that part. So I'm curious about that one. Do some more digging. But the birds are programmed to remain in North America unless there are specific occasions where the birds are sent out of North America in order to traffic drugs.
Tell me again.
Drugs. Meth, coke, weed, horse,
Fentanyl. Okay.
all that good shit. A little smack. Now, why would they do that? Because maybe the American public, it is beneficial for the government to keep these motherfuckers hooked on drugs. So yes, they send birds out for deliveries of drugs from like Cuba and places like that, I guess.
Oh, the cartel's gotta love it.
Gotta love it, right? It's in their best interest. So another fun one, Trump's wall, okay? No idea why this was even there, but it's fun.
Oh boy.
I'm just going to read this part.
Do tell.
In 2016, President Trump announced that if he was elected, he will build a wall between Mexico and the United States. You may believe the mainstream media and Trump's lies when you hear that the wall will be designed to keep illegal immigrants out of the United States, but that is false. The wall will actually be encapsulated with thousands of microwave guns that can track any bird entering the United States and shoot it with harsh microwaves, which destroy the bird's ability to fly and will leave it deceased in under a few hours. So this is a bird protection thing.
So it's a bird fence with microwaves.
And I'm assuming that means like keeping out any real birds still trying to enter the United States.
I would think. I mean, I'm sure microwave could damage electronics or aluminum at some point, but
So those are my favorite bits from the actual
from the
mythos.
source, like
Yeah.
this is from them. Like this is other people saying
Yes, this
about
is
them.
directly from the source, from the history on the
This is
website.
them owning it.
I strongly encourage you to read the whole thing because it's fucking fun to read. It's really funny, really entertaining. Definitely pulls in a lot of different conspiracy theories. I love the attention to detail.
So, do you think they take themselves more, less, or the same as Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster?
That's a really good question.
Because this one, I believe you're going to tell us a little bit later that they actually say that it's a farce that went too
Oh
far.
yeah,
Whereas the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster initially started out as a farce, but now it's real.
it could be said the same is true of this because while it started out strongly as a satirical kind of parody of the misinformation movement, basically, I it, the, this bitch has taken off. Okay, there's like it's more people have heard about this that I've spoken with than have ever heard of the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster.
Yeah, there's probably like maybe 1 in 80 that I would talk to
Yeah,
that would know about the
well,
Church of Flying Spaghetti Monster or heard of it or know something about it.
both are equally entertaining, but this is my favorite because there's people out there like you can go to a bar and like tell somebody birds aren't real and they go fuck no they're not government drones and they just like it's like the secret like message between two
It's like that
strangers.
washed up detective at the
Mm-hmm.
bar, on his third marriage and his trench coat hanging down and sipping the whiskey on the rocks.
Yeah, literally, and he's like, I remember in the 70s all the missing acid heads.
I was a rookie once.
I was dragged into this government base to build a robot. Thought it was high as fuck.
We're all describing somebody that we've known or have
Oh, I
talked
know.
to.
Yeah, I can think of like 4 people like that. Oh boy. So I'm gonna get into a little bit of the guy behind the curtain. Okay, the Wizard of Oz, a little bit.
Okay. The person that came up with this, the birds aren't real, or
Yeah.
this are talking about the CIA
No. I'm talking about
director.
now. We're kind of dropping the act that we believe all this, and we're going to Peter McIndoe, who I believe at the time was 20 years old. He was in Memphis, Tennessee, on a rooftop with some buddies, and it was a day after President Trump's inauguration. Okay. So he looks at his buddies, and there's protesters and counter protesters on the street below. And he goes,
Okay, yeah, this is absolutely something you would do.
right, exactly. That's I was reading this. I'm like, holy shit, is this me? Like, this is literally some shit I would do.
I can see this.
He literally said to his buddies, wouldn't it be hilarious or wouldn't it be interesting if someone in this situation with a sign that had nothing to do with anything that's actually going on?
He did a social experiment.
So when asked like how he came up with the words like birds aren't real, he's like, I don't even know. It was just like the most absurd thing I could think of at the moment. So he grabs a piece of cardboard off a wall, scrawls the words birds aren't real on it, and goes down to the streets of Memphis, joins a stream of protesters. Okay. And he starts screaming. He's like, I'm angry. I'm here to protest. Wake up, America. Birds aren't real. They're a myth. They're an illusion. Thank you for your time.
Okay, straight to the point.
Literally, again, I can see myself doing this shit. That's why it was so funny to me. I was like, this is some bullshit I would pull. Like,
No, you'd put something on there like blue is not really blue.
sky's not blue. Wake up, America.
Yeah.
So this then, and he had no intention of doing anything like starting a movement. Okay, it just took off. He went viral essentially. So somebody had filmed.
No. Did he go like from the news or from YouTube or like?
I think it was a
all the
YouTube
above?
video, maybe both. But basically, the idea caught on like wildfire. Okay, so people saw the sign and they loved it. Okay, it resonated with people, obviously, because I too would love that if I were to see, like, the fuck Trump, fuck this, fuck that, and then a birds aren't real sign. Like that shit, I'd be like, my boy.
Like I like when you see like some of those like for college football games, the college students are in the stands and they're holding up the signs.
Oh yeah, there
And
was even a birds aren't real sign at an NCAA
like,
game.
yeah, I saw one. I forget what game it was a couple years ago. A college in West Virginia was playing, and this kid had a sign up. It says, "I'm sorry, mom. I spent all the money. I'm broke." We get a sign.
Love that.
like you'll see some interesting stuff that makes on TV.
Yeah, that's what I mean, and I think that's what happened here. Was people saw it and the absurdity of it, everyone just loved it, right? So people start sending this kid photos, right, from across like multiple cities across the country where people were
To
like,
validate.
well, people were writing like graffiti on walls, high schools, banners, signs, out protesting. They were taking this and going with it, right? They were just rolling with
Like
it.
Kilroy was here, that kind of
Yes,
thing. Like,
quite
okay.
literally. So he started getting flooded with all these pictures, videos, and shit of this going on across the nation. He's like, this caught on like way more than I thought it would. So he decides to double down and really commit to this. So he ends
Well,
up
I mean, I think I would too if I had found out that there's that many
Oh, yeah. So,
people that
okay.
passionately believe in something I just made up. I mean,
To back up a little bit, I think that you'll resonate with this as well because he was raised in rural, I want to say like Arkansas, Cincinnati, like between the two. And he was homeschooled. And he grew up in a town where there was a lot of conspiracy theories, religious indoctrination, a lot of bullshit going on. And he was made to read books that talked about things like the subliminal devil signs in Hollywood. Stuff like that was kind of
ah,
indoctrinated into him. And then he ended up raising himself or educating himself via the internet.
any known head trauma in the younger years?
No, I think that this was healthy for him because he then sought out information sources from opposing viewpoints, like going to Reddit, places on the internet, listening to different
I
things.
want I want to hear both sides of the
Yes.
table, the discussion.
So
Yeah.
in that sense, it sounds like he kind of directed himself correctly, like went in the right direction instead of like wholesale swallowing all these things that were being thrown at him in this environment. He self-educated essentially. So he ends up going to, I don't remember the school, if it was in Memphis or Arkansas, somewhere around there. Who the fuck knows? Don't really care. He ends up going to school and then he drops out after this. Hi, mom and dad. I'm dropping out of college because birds aren't real.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So he drops out to commit
Yeah,
foolery.
imagine being the parent. You've been doing your child's college fund. You've been trying to help them get every grant possible. All this stuff, and you helped them pick out college. They got accepted. You get them set up in their dorm, wherever they're going to be at. Whoever their roommate's situation is going to be. You get them settled in. You drive down there. You drive back, and then you're kind of still nervous. You're a month and a half into it, and then you get this motherfucking letter from your kid.
It's like a Dear John letter, but worse.
Exactly.
I would, well, first of all, I'd rather die than have a child. So, like, I think I would eat my young. I have the maternal instinct of a velociraptor. So, it's hard for
Well,
me to
that's
imagine.
that's why you have nieces and nephews.
Correct. I'm a professional, mysterious, drunken aunt who shows up mysteriously, like one day a year, disperses caffeine and sugar and chaos, and then fucking disappears again. That's
And
me.
gifts.
Yeah, that's the chaos a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that is, I just want to be like the mysterious shadow figure, like the Deus Ex Machina coming out of the sky to like provide some plot device, and then whoo, off I go, gone again. So this kid, his upbringing was
This Mickendo.
Mickendo, yeah. So he was raised in a place where he could have easily been like brainwashed to believe some crazy shit, but instead
He created some crazy shit.
he created some crazy shit, but he did it all in the spirit of satire and didn't expect it to take off, which again, I love that. Love that. It caught on, so he drops out of college, moves to Memphis, take up the call and spread the truth full time. Love that for him. He decides he needs to really commit to this a little harder.
What does that look? Time out. What does that look like full time? Like, what does your day consist of? Like, when you wake up in the morning and you're doing this full time, what do you do? What would this look like in your words?
Holy shit. I'm going to make some fucking t-shirts, some bumper stickers, some hats, and I'm going to make sure, well, first of all, I'm going to make sure that everyone believes that I believe this.
So like very passionate speaking,
Oh, yeah.
guerrilla marketing.
Hell
Okay,
yeah.
continue.
And the more underground and like grungy it is, the more people are going to love it because, again, we're very anti-capitalist in this weird Gen Z or wherever we're at right now. So we want those weird small business, individual, entrepreneur type things. We want the weird shit, okay? We want the one-of-a-kind, homemade bullshit, the Etsy shit. So,
That one custom NFT.
yeah, and I'm as guilty as anyone else. I love my weird shit, like all my stupid hats and shit. Like, I apologize to no one. Except Amazon. I'm just a traitor. Anyways, he decides that they need a history, which I just read you a lot of. So he enlists a friend named Connor Gatos, who's a history buff, to write a backstory for the birds movement. Okay?
So he got a friend involved to come up, help perpetuate the lie.
Right. But again, nobody's really lying. Like, well, okay, I'll back up.
Okay, it sounds like
They
we're
are.
crossing a line.
They are, but it's, to me, I also can pick up on what's satire and what isn't. And I think some people just can't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I really think a lot of people lack that clarity and focus.
I just picture Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory,
Right.
just never know what sarcasm is.
And I think that's where they got into a little bit of a muddy situation. They didn't really, but people started picking it up and being like, birds aren't real. And then he'd be like, well, you know, they are real. And they're like, oh, yeah, I knew that. You know? So there's a quote from Gatos where he just kind of sums up what he would then later write into the history, which is, you know, the CIA was so sick and tired of the birds pooping on their windshields. So they're like, we're sick of this. We're fed up with this. Let's hire, you know, engineers to get rid of these stupid birds. While we're at it, let's replace them with robots and spy on people. So yeah, it's a joke, but it sounds like a joke, right?
I mean, but then again, sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. So
And that's what I mean when I said that people now are so like deeply ingrained in distrust that there's like, even it sounds crazy, but we're like, let's think about this. Maybe it's not that crazy. It goes on, it gets deeper. The rabbit hole goes down. So every good conspiracy theory needs like a deep state kind of whistleblower, right? So they needed one.
Of course.
So they invent this guy named Eugene Price.
They're Julian Assange.
Mm-hmm. And they go find an actor to play this Eugene Price guy, and they do a video filming him where...
So impersonating a government agent.
I mean, it's the same thing Hollywood does all the fucking time anyways. So he's supposed to be a former CIA officer who was tasked with destroying evidence from this birds aren't real thing. Okay. And I did listen to some parts of this video, not the whole thing. And again, you know, like, I don't know if I've told you this, but when I listen to shit...
So to do this full time, there had to be some kind of monetary gain or something.
T-shirts.
Like, how else is this kid?
Yeah, he's got an online shop.
So he had an online kind of marketplace, and that's how he's supporting himself.
I'm guessing so. I think it's just the merchandise.
I mean, I know that if I'm living away from home for college, and I'm not, you know, if the parents aren't paying or you don't have a grant, like, you got to get money.
Oh, so, yeah, he's not going to college anymore.
So, well, yeah, but I mean, to drop out, like, he's got something better going on. So I think he's doing okay.
So we've got the whistleblower invented, we got the backstory, we got all that shit. So as this is going on, this really starts gaining traction. It becomes like a movement, right? People are picking this shit up. It's becoming such a viral sensation that larger, I guess, news organizations and things like that are noticing it, and they're noticing, hey, we should probably like go interview this guy. So this guy ends up getting interviewed, McIndoe, by like some places, like high profile places like 60 Minutes, New York Times. My favorite one, if you go on the Audubon.com website, there is an interview / article done by Audubon, the Bird Society, okay, on this guy. And
oh boy,
that's my favorite one because, let me go down to find it. Well, at the very end, they make sure to say, we promise you, birds are real. Like, they felt the need to like debunk this guy.
In case you are feeling, you know, very unsure of the world because birds aren't real and your foundation's shaken.
And there's definitely a very scathing slant to the Audubon article. I love it because it multiple times refers to him as just trying to make money off this. And
well, are they like one celebrity or influencer away from actually getting even bigger than they should be?
I don't think so, because he's in all of his interviews that he's done in the last couple of years, he's made sure to point out that it is a parody, that it is satire. He's not really... So there are some interviews he's done, like the one with Audubon, the writer of that, pointed out that McIndoe did not break character once in 30 minutes of the interview. Like, he just insisted the whole time.
So he turns on the switch for this.
Right. But there are some articles he's done later on. I think once he realized that people were losing the concept that it was a parody, I think then he started kind of telling people, okay, like, y'all can calm down. This is actually a joke. But for the first couple of years of this, he really committed. He wears a cowboy hat.
Drake when he introduced YOLO as a term.
Oh my God! Don't get me started
He
on that.
apologized. He
Yeah,
apologized on Saturday Night
he
Live.
needs to apologize again.
I mean, I'm glad they apologized once.
So this quote's from the New York Times, and it kind of sums up everything we've been saying, which is what Birds Aren't Real truly is, they say, is a parody social movement with a purpose. In a post-truth world dominated by online conspiracy theories, young people have coalesced around the effort to thumb their nose at, fight, and poke fun at misinformation. It's Gen Z's attempt to upend the rabbit hole with absurdism. So that really sums
Okay.
up what we've been
I mean,
saying.
that's pretty clear.
Right. Most Birds Aren't Real members, many of whom are part of an on-the-ground activism network called the Bird Brigade, I forgot to mention them. They grew up in a world
Such a good name.
They grew up in a world overrun with misinformation. Some have relatives who have fallen victim to conspiracy theories, right? So, for members of Gen Z, the movement has become a way to collectively grapple with those experiences. They're basically cosplaying conspiracy theorists. They found community and kinship. And I did throw this in here as well, just to point out that this took off to the point where in November of 2021, the Bird Brigade, as the name would go, actually organized a protest outside of Twitter's headquarters in San
That's
Francisco
funny.
to demand that the company change its brand logo.
Like what? Because they think it's offensive, or they thought. I mean, well, why would they want to change it?
Do you think that they have any idea why they want it?
No, I don't. I just wonder if they
Birds
did.
aren't real. It's a fake. It's a government drone. Okay. So what do you think about all this?
I think it's just amazing that people would spend money on this. I haven't seen the shop. I think he's mentioned maybe one shirt that sounded interesting.
Oh my God, no! I
Like
love
I
their
watched them. They
shirts.
want.
One says,
So maybe
pigeons
maybe
are
actually I
liars.
take that back. I shouldn't judge before I go and check for myself. But
There's one that
it's
says pigeons are liars. Oh my God, I love it.
to me it's incredible that we live in a day and age and a country where something like this somebody can make a living. And
It's not that weird to me. I mean, if the
and
fucking
get
Kardashians can make money, why can't this guy?
that ocean trash. Okay.
Don't
I
get me
just
started.
that's just amazing. Like I can definitely see you being the one grabbing a piece of cardboard and making some weird ass sign that just gets way bigger than it should.
I wish I'd thought of it.
So I think it's kind of a cool origin story, but like what it's actually about is just like ridiculous.
I strongly encourage
Now,
everyone listening.
would I think that the CIA or the government has made like a prototype like bird like spy drone? Yes, absolutely, but not where you're got a whole population tracking a population. That's just ridiculous.
it's a parody, right? It's satire. However, it's based in so much real possibility that
Like I could see a 007 movie where they have like some like little robot spy bird, like just to like land on a ledge with a camera. I can wrap my head around that, but when you're talking about like the joke, like everybody has an NSA or FBI agent listens to you or whatever, like that you have a bird that just follows you around as your spirit animal, like no.
that's why it shits on my car. Although my car has never been shit on, so I'm gonna need my personal FBI agent to kick it up a notch if he hasn't already blocked me, which I think he has. I can't. If there's an FBI agent listening to me, first of all, I want you to know I'm not sorry for any of it. Okay, so fuck you. Anyways, but also I am kind of sorry for that guy's mental health. I too share a deep and almost crippling distrust of anything with government affiliations, government adjacent.
I'll question it once, but I'll also do like my due diligence and try to
Trust but verify.
use the most rational. Yeah, exactly. Try to do rational thinking and problem solving. And
So you've worked for the government, R.I.P. What do you think about the government would never lie to you, would never put a drone bird in the sky?
oh no, the government will lie. The government will misappropriate lots and lots of money. I think that something like this could happen on a much smaller scale. Like, like I don't think watching populations. I mean, when you have a whole population that'll let every app track their movements and what they do, and
Yeah, why go through that effort when people are doing it themselves?
They broadcast it anyways. Everybody's using iPhones or Samsungs that do facial recognition. Like they don't need any of that.
What do you think of the conspiracy theory? Have you ever seen those apps where it's like time warp, 7 or 10 year time warp? What do you think about that conspiracy theory where people are saying the government's just updating their facial recognition database?
Oh, I mean, I doubt it. but I think it's fun to talk about and just like get the people going.
I know. I love getting people worked up. It's like a kink. Swear to God, I have a problem.
I mean,
Do
that's
you have
not a
any other
problem if that's the
thoughts
trend too.
on this topic?
No, I don't. One thing we are going to do is we've kind of been having now a pattern of kind of the satire, goofy conspiracies mixed with kind of the bone chilling realism, like the Fort Hood
Right.
shooting. So I know our next episode is going to be something more of the darker tone.
And I want to hear what people like better. Like, first of all,
Exactly.
do you like
So
me, my
please,
genius intellectual self, or like listening to Brett drone on and on like the boring grunt he is? So
wow,
tune in and you know the correct
shots
answer.
fired.
Shots fired hard.
But yep, no, there's going to be a link to our socials, Instagram, Facebook, our email. And then
And
again,
birdsaren'treal.com.
yeah, that place. But I don't know if we've been over it before, but my background is ex-military, and now I'm in corporate merchandising. And you've been, all types of EMS, EMT services, and now a deputy sheriff.
Yep, currently deputy sheriff. I've been in law enforcement for almost a decade now. But yeah,
Yep.
before that, I dabbled in being a firefighter, and I wanted to see how the other side lived. Those hose draggers really have
Wait,
some
wait,
nice
wait. Didn't you
couches.
go? Didn't you go from paramedic to firefighter to law enforcement?
Fuck, I can't remember. I don't think I was a paramedic. I don't. I First of all, my
I
memory
think
is so bad, but I don't think that I was. I was a firefighter.
mine's bad too. That was a long time ago.
But yeah, I've been a first responder for almost a decade now. I went from city PD or firefighter, city PD, county, so deputy sheriff now, which is a whole other circus we'll get into sometime. I don't want to go too much into my bullshit because this is kind of a form of escapism for us both. And yes, I want to weigh in from my perspective, but I don't want to like recount every fucking trauma in my line of work. At the same time, we do want to hear from our listeners, all of them, all three of them. If you have anything that you need to get off your chest as far as your mental health goes, we, as fellow first responders and military adjacent or whatever, we want to be here for you guys. We want to provide resources, a safe space, people with your similar mindset. I mean, I didn't have an end to that sentence. Go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, well, caveat to you, what you're saying is mental health is number one, and you got to take care of yourself first before you can take care of others. And so if you need an outlet for that, me and Casey are here.
Yes,
So
we
reach
are.
out on the socials, and we'll do our best to get back to you and help you out or get you with people that you need. I know that post-military for me, I did some therapy and stuff, and it helped me out immensely. So I'll always be an advocate for it.
Yep, I'm an advocate that everyone should go to therapy except me so that you act right around me. That's
Oh,
my
okay.
perspective. Yeah,
But
everyone
you
needs to
have
act right.
you have the Indiana Jones syndrome. Everybody's lost but me.
Correct. No, it's not a syndrome. It's me seeing the truth and accepting the truth, and you not seeing it
I'm
yet,
I'm
but you
I'm, I'm
will.
going to call it a syndrome.
Let me finish up here with a Florida man headline, which I forgot to do
Oh,
last week
Florida
because,
man, that's our favorite
yeah.
man or woman, but
Oh, I'm sorry. Natural selection.
from America's dongle. Let's.
I actually have a really good one. This is really fucking funny. I'm just going to read the headline verbatim real quick.
And are we
Florida
going to
man.
do this bit? Whoa, time out. Are we
Yeah.
going to do this bit going forward, and we're just going to call it Florida man, or
I think we
should
should just call it
we? I
Florida
mean,
man because this is what I like. This is
but
fun.
we also have women listeners, so we should just call it the Florida stories. We'll
Florida
figure it
them.
out as we go. Florida
Florida
them,
man.
I love it.
Florida
That's
them.
woke. We'll do.
Woke as fuck, boy. So, Florida man poses as Disney World cast member, steals $10,000 R2D2 droid to impress them. Real story. This is
Impress.
real. Here's what happened. I'm gonna nutshell this for you again. So he tried to steal a $10,000 R2D2 droid from Disney World in Florida. He wanted to secure a better paying spot because he had put in an application for a security guard for the park. And he wanted to impress them with his ability to do this, so to get a better paying job.
Oh, so I can steal something very expensive, so you should promote me so I can protect things from getting stolen.
Yeah, so he basically put on an orange vest, khaki pants, all that shit, pushing around a trolley. Police were called. He had like a
You know
fake
what?
employee name on.
There's something with that heat down there. I mean, depending what day it is,
Something.
determines what sex of alligator you're having. So I'm sure it does some things with the human mind.
Yeah, this dude's name was David Emerson Proudfoot.
Oh, wow.
And he said that he had a pending application to the security team at Walt Disney World. And he wanted to
So,
expose the
so,
security loopholes.
oh, okay. I'm sorry. I must have misheard saying. I thought he was already a security guard, but he wanted a higher position as security guard. So he was already
No,
had
he was
access to the parking
applying,
stall.
but
Okay.
he put in an
Outside in.
application, and he thought he could impress them if he exposed their security, deficiencies by stealing something, right? Which apparently didn't exist. So I guess he had. So after the police obviously established this bullshit lie, they get a search warrant and find that he had stolen. I can't even remember how much. A shit ton of random items from the park already, like a $4,000
Oh,
light fixture,
so like
and
habitually going back there and
yep.
stealing.
And that
Wow.
seems like a really, really like bad cartoon character, like episode or something, but it's real.
Oh, yeah.
And now, from what I understand, Florida has somewhat lax media guidelines or privacy guidelines, which is why the Florida Man headlines have become so common.
And
I don't know if
prevalent.
that's true or not, but apparently they can like report the details of things more than other states, or they just have no shame. Which either way, kudos.
I mean, if how do you feel that if you broke the law, do you think it should all be able to be put out there, or they should
Oh
be all
yeah,
private?
I think that a lot of times these things aren't reported because technically it's guilty before conviction. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
like
Like you're.
yeah, I'm not pro like shaming someone or without due process or
But I think that's why in most states that kind of stuff isn't put out as much, whereas in Florida they clearly do not give a single fuck.
so like yeah, we'll see,
They're
we'll
like,
see
yeah,
how it
well, this is
goes.
pretty wild. Let's fucking put this up. So I'm gonna do the Florida them section
Is
every
that
time.
why would you say that helps Florida have more mistrials that way?
I could not weigh in on that. Maybe one of our many, many Florida
I don't know.
listeners
I'm just
could
curious.
tell
I'm
us
just
about
wondering
that. I
because
don't
if you're
know.
reporting that, then you're already souring the populace before they even have a fair trial. Like you
And
know, what I
that's,
mean,
again, what's the difference between Florida and other states is here, that would be considered, well, we shouldn't put these things out because it could, cause
effect
some kind of
jury
legal issue.
selection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's my favorite headline that I read through today. I only read like 3 of them, but that was the best.
Okay, so going forward, we'll start ending our episodes with Florida them.
Love it. I want that on a t-shirt, man.
That'd be pretty funny. But yeah, no, be sure to check out our socials. I'm glad you're with us 3 episodes in. Again, we're bumbling through this and figuring out how this works and just kind of talking about hobbies and things that interest us and what we think about it. And we'd love to hear what you think about it
Absolutely.
too.
Make sure to remark on our socials that this was the best episode because it was my episode. Don't forget that part, please. Thank you.
I mean, yeah, it was you. But
It
no,
was
great
me.
episode, Casey. I guess I'll see you next week and we'll do our next one.
See you next week. Birds aren't real. Wake up, America.